Yeah, welcome back and let's continue with the series of Python by WsCubeTech. I'm Nehal and in this particular video we're going to be talking about tuple. So let's get started. Now basically what is tuple? So tuple is nothing but it is one of the sequences, right? We can have multiple collection of elements into it. So we have studied about, you have got some basic idea, like in the previous tutorial we have studied about what is tuple and how we can declare it. Don't worry, we're going to repeat those things once again over here because this topic is totally dedicated to the tuple. So first we'll start how we can declare a tuple in Python. So let's get started. So basically what I'm doing over here is, suppose I have this x variable and inside that I'm creating a tuple. Now in order to create a tuple you need to make use of the rounded brackets. Fine. So now what I'm going to say, now I'm going to declare some of the values over here. So in tuple also you can have the collection of either same or different data types. You can have integer, character, string, or even you can have this floating point values. So first I will just make a simple tuple. So suppose I have this string that is WsCube. I will have some integer value. Say I have this. I will have this is a floating point value and integer value also I will have. I can even have a character which will be also considered as a string in Python. So you can see here over here that I have declared some of the elements into my tuple and I can just simply display it. So I will just say print x. So you're seeing over here it gets displayed. So this is nothing but in rounded brackets, this is a tuple. Fine. Now the case with tuple is that as you can see it can have these values either of the same or different data type. It accept that thing is okay. But the thing over here is that you can't change the values over here. That is, it is if you have declared one, so it is just like it won't, it can't, you can't add, modify, or remove the elements from your tuple. So this is the only difference with if you compare this thing with the list. So you can just say that the tuple are immutable. So immutable is basically, it means that if you have declared a tuple once, so you can't simply add, remove, or modify any values, elements into it. So okay, that is fine now. So now what I'm going to do is we'll see I will just create a uh, another this tuple and I will make the elements as same. Suppose I'm declaring a tuple, so I say I have the elements as 10, 20, 30, 40. All right, I believe I have 50. So now in order to access this, so as you know, in list we were accessing through index value. So can we do that thing with tuples? So we'll just check it out. So suppose I say that I want to get the element 10 over there. So I will just make use of the index value, that is 0. So in order to fetch that value, what I have to do is I have to simply write that x of 0. So what I'm going to do here, I just want to print that thing. That is, I'm just fetching the value which is at index 0. So it gives me the result, that is 10. So that means that it is a ordered tuple. The tuple is ordered. That means if it is ordered, so and as it is ordered, so that's the reason why you can access it by making use of this index value. So I'm just we can just see this, check it out for the another element. Suppose I want to fetch the last one, so either you can go with the positive index value or negative also will work over here. So we'll first see the positive. So want to fetch the last element, so I will say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I say that thing, and it will give me the result 50, because the at index value for 50 element is there. And I can even fetch this thing by negative indexing. So as you know that the first element starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the negative way it starts. 50 will be -1, 40 will be -2, then -3, -4, and -5. So if I want to fetch this last element, I can either do it with the negative indexing. So I'm going to simply say that x of -1. So it will just fetch that particular element which is there at this index. So fine, this is this things works because it is ordered tuple. So fine, now this is how we fetch the elements. Now, more to this, we'll see what all we can do with the tuple. So, as you know, we can't add or modify or change, remove the elements. But there are some of the methods which are supported with respect to the tuple, and we will see that thing. So, we'll see that the first method we are going to see is the count one. So, basically, what this count does is we're going to see that. So, suppose I say x dot and count. So in this count you need to pass like which element you need to pass here the element. So suppose I say you I pass here 20, and now what this count method will do is it will just find out that whether this particular element is how many times in your tuple. So in this case it's only one time, so it will return me one. So I just print this out, and as soon as click run, so you are saying that I'm having one element. I can have suppose I had 20. So let's find out whether it accepts multiple uh, uh, the same values multiple times or not. So we'll check it out. So yes, it accepts, that is repetition of the values is allowed in tuple. So now it has given me the result as 2 because that particular element that has passed over here, I have passed over here, is twice in my tuple. So this count method basically just returns the number of times that particular element has been occurred in your tuple. All right. The next method we have is index. So we'll just check that out as well. So print and x dot index. So now what this will do, you need to pass here the value, the element, and it will just return you the index at that at what index it is. So suppose I say 20, I want to know the index value of this 20. So it is 0 1, so it should return me 1, and you can see that it returning you the index value. So index method simply just you need to pass here the element, and as soon as you pass the element it will go and fetch the index, that at what index this particular value is present. So this is nothing but the index. You have even more methods, we will see that thing. So first just I will just comment this thing. We have methods like mean, max and sum, so we'll see that those things over here. So first we'll see about the mean. So in order to use that thing, minimum, what it will do, it will just give you the result which is the minimum value is there inside your tuple. So suppose I declare another variable that is y, and I want to use mean method. So I'm just going to say mean, and if I just say that thing, and if I say just you print this y, so it will just give me the minimum value. Just a second. Yeah, I need to mention that of which. So you need to pass here the parameter. So uh, this mean, what it will do is like I will just will see one. So this what I will do, I will take another variable name that is y is equal to, and I will use this mean method, and inside this I have to pass like of what minimum I have to pass. So I have to pass of this x, this is my tuple. So I will just pass that variable name over there, and I will simply say that you print y. Now it will just give me the smallest value, which is the minimum value in my tuple. So in our case it is 10, so it is returning 10. Similarly you can use for max. So max, simply what it will do is it will return the maximum number which is present inside your tuple. So if I say I have to I'm taking another variable name over here, and I'm saying simply I'm using making use of this max method, and I'm passing the x, that is my tuple variable name, and when I say print y, so it should return me 50. So it is, we are getting that thing right. Now we can even use sum. So how you're going to use sum, instead of max I will just put as sum. So what I'm doing over here, I just want to sum up all the elements over here which is present inside my tuple. So you can see here, if I just remove this thing, suppose we make it a small value so that we can calculate in our mind. So 30 40 50 60 should return you 60. So you are seeing that we are getting that value. So these are nothing but some of the methods supported by Python with respect to your tuple. Now we don't have that append, extend, and all that we have done with respect to the list, because as you know that I have already said that in tuple you can't add, remove, or modify the elements which are present over here. It's just immutable. That is, if you have declared once and that's final. But yes, you can use these methods which I have shown you over here, that you can use count and index. Count will simply count the number of times that particular element has been present inside your tuple, and the index value will simply return the index of the particular element that you have mentioned over here, that at what position it is. And even we saw about the mean, max, and sum over here. And now the question arises, like, where you may find the need of using such a uh, data type, that is tuple, where you can't even add or modify the value. So there come such scenarios where you feel the need of declaring a tuple instead of going with the list. The main reason for this is, as you can see that here we don't have the you can't modify the things, it is immutable. So the iterations in the tuple are faster. That is, the execution speed is fast as in case of tuple as compared to the list. So where you want to just speed up your execution process, so you can just go with this tuple. And one more thing we will see over here is, like, we have seen like how to fetch the elements by the index because it is the ordered tuple. So we can even make use of the while loop and loops, and while loop and for loop. So we'll just check that out as well. So in order to, I will just enlarge this some elements. I will just add on some elements into my tuple. So what I want to do basically, yeah, I can fetch one by one elements in this way, and it will just give me the result. As you can see that it's giving me 10 and so. But what if I want to use a loop, like I want to get all the values one by at once? So in that case we go for loop. So we can simply say that we can use a for loop. So for I in x, and we're just going to say print the value of I. And you can see over here that if I do this way, so you're getting the values here, that is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So in this way we can do, we can even make use of the range. So we have seen all these things while working with the iterations and all, but once again we will check that out. So if I want to use a range, so we know we have to give it a condition, that up to what condition, that is we need to calculate the length and all. So now what we are going to do is we are going to say for I in range, and I want to tell my Python that you start with 0. You can either mention it or you can't, because it's already understood that it will start with 0. But in case if you want to mention it, you can. So you say you start with 0 and go up to the length of my tuple. So I will just calculate the length. So, and here I will just pass this x because I want to calculate the length of this and want to go through this particular 60 point. So I will just say that you start with 0 and go till the length of this x, and till that time this loop will function. And I will simply say that you just print, if I just say I, so it will just give me the this I, that is 0 1 2. You can just, we can just check it. So you can see it is just giving me the value of I at each iteration, that is 0 1 2 3 4 and 5. But I want to know the values which are there at this particular position. So for that you need to write x of I, and this is how we uh, display the each elements which are present at the ith position. You can even just print I over here, so that you will get an idea, like how the at each iteration, that is at 0 the element present over here is 10, then at 1 it is 22, at it is 30, and 3 it is 40, and so on. So this was about using first we made just of a simple for loop, then we made use of this range. We can even use a while loop over here. So how we are going to do that thing? So in while loop we know that three things over there. First is initialize, and the condition, and the third one is the modification. So we are simply going to say, I'm going to say that I is equal to, let's start with 0, and in order to give the condition I will say that while uh, what you do, while I is less than the length of the x. So I will simply use this length method and I will just pass the variable name, that is x. So my I will start with 0 and go till the length of x, and till that time this loop will function. And I just going to say that print the value of x of I, and don't forget to just increment change the modification, that is I is equal to I plus 1, and that's it. And you can see over here that you're getting that thing. You can even print here I, as we did in the previous case for the for loop. So you're getting at 0 it is 10, and 1 it is 20, 2 it is 30, 3 it is 40, and so on. So this is how you can iterate using this loop for a tuple. And this was all about the tuple. So we'll just do a quick recap over here. So basically what we have done is we have studied about what is tuple. So tuple is nothing but it is immutable. Immutable simply means that you can't modify or add or remove the elements which is one uh, declared over here. And you can just use this tuple in case you want to speed up your execution process, because as it is immutable, so there will the processing speed will be fast. So in that scenario, if you don't want, if you are okay with that, you are not able to add, modify, change the values over here, so you can simply use this tuple. And tuple is declared in this rounded brackets. And with tuple we even saw what are the methods. So we saw count, and we saw index, we even saw mean, max, and sum. And then next to it we even saw that how you can iterate by using the loops. So this was all about this tuple, and I hope you have understood this concept of tuple. So thanks for watching.